Alright, so welcome back. In this scene, I managed to actually, by accident, which is why I didn't record it, change the colours of the grass so it's not so green. I also removed, made it not so dense. It was 0.6 for each terrain, and I made it 0.1. And it actually looks better. I did that for the basic reason that Unity 6 has got a problem with the loading of grass. It doesn't load, it doesn't fade in. It just loads one square at a time, one patch if you like. I'm not sure whether that's a patch or not, but I think it is a patch. But it kind of, it's possibly from terrain to terrain. Once you're on one terrain, you can't see the grass on the other until you move on to that terrain, and then you see the grass, and then you see it way up in the distance. And if you look at the distance I've set for terrains, if you look at the details settings, the detail distance is 22. It was on 150 before. I did put it up to 250. So because you were looking at an hill and there was no grass, but that was mostly because there was a big difference between the colour of the grass and the colour of the texture beneath the grass. This lighting up makes that a little bit better. It's not perfect, but the grass is going to be a long-term project basically. So I've lowered the decency on every terrain. I've lowered the tree distance from 1,000 to 500, and that doesn't seem to make a difference at all. And I've yet to play with these, the fade length. Like I say, nothing seems to be fading, but that's possibly due to where is it? When you go into oh no, sorry, it's the details. When you go into the details for each, I mean, these density targets don't make any difference anyway. It's possibly because it's a render mode, is vertex lit. I did try changing that, but it messed up and I had to restart the project because it wouldn't let me change it basically. So there's some issues with this version of Unity 6, 31F, yeah, 31F. And there's not going to be another release, I don't think, until, what did it say? I think it was March 25, and this is December 24. So that's where we stand with the current terrain as it is. I did those things off camera. Excuse me. Also, I've added some things. I've added the other scenes that are most appropriate. I've left these two off for a good reason. I've added the audio. Does that show you just the audio? No. There's the audio there. That was for a jungle that's no longer there. And then there's the audio going across here on the islands. Different sets of audios for each different sets of islands. The audios actually don't really fit mostly along with this terrain anymore because I've made so many changes. Birds in forests, eye wind, that's when you get up to a specific height. But that needs iron. It gets too windy. I did a quick test earlier. It gets too windy as you go up. And there's the mountain falling rocks. And there's the music around the towns. Some of these aren't set. The rivers are empty. So there's no sequence for the rivers, although these are set in place. I just need to add a sequence for the rivers, the river sounds. The ocean sounds, that's a bit too much now because the ocean used to be, what was it called? Sumo something. Yeah, something Sumo. And there was waves, and you could see the waves while it was making the sound. Now there's no waves, but it's making wave sounds, so that's kind of doesn't. And there's the lake sounds. I think, I'm not sure what these are, but I will go into these in detail after I've sorted. I'm basically still working on the main terrain, but I've loaded these up so that I can take a look at the main terrain and see what needs doing to allow these to work smoothly, because this will probably be a bit, it's quite smooth without, especially now I've altered the grass density and distance. It's quite smooth with just this one terrain. That one's okay, and this one's okay. It probably starts getting a little bit jerkier, and it's really jerkier when you're flying across the actual villages. So I want to start here, get this working, the main terrain scene working, while all these other scenes, I'll work on these one at a time, but I'm adding them now to see what I've got to basically do to get it working. Adding these just makes it slow over those particular villages and towns, because forgot what I was going to say. Lost track of thought. I think there's one particular asset which is a market that slows it down. With the others, I think I remember combining the textures into one atlas. I used some kind of software for that. I can't remember. It will still be in here somewhere because I haven't removed it, but it's just I can't remember what it was. Asset rather, not software. And then there's these few like fishing villages. This is the main one. This is actually quite a big one, so it probably gets a bit jerky around there. But with some of these, yeah, well, that's not a village, is it? Oh, right, is it? Yeah, anyway, I'll look into all these things later. Basically, some of these farms and villages and whatnot, these will, obviously the terrain needs drawing in, the textures need drawing in, and some trees might be growing through houses and all sorts of things, because obviously I set these up for the other one when Vegetation Studio Pro was in. Anyway, without further ado, let's have a look what it does. And I haven't done a full test. I did a quick test to see. I was just basically testing the wind, actually, because it looked so big and intrusive in the view. And obviously that needs. But I'll go through all these one by one and do the sculpting and painting as those other projects, as other videos. But for now, I'll move the character inland some way, to avoid the ocean noise at start, but that will we'll see that anyway, because I'll fly near the ocean and you'll see that it doesn't match. And there's a few things that don't match. The sounds over the music over lakes and villages and specific points, they can be changed. There's more appropriate music out there. I just need to find it. I have found some what I do want, what I would like. I've got to look into it though. Is Nature Manufacturer? They do some great trailer videos, sales videos, if you like, of their scenes, and they have great music playing in the background. That type of thing I want here. These just sounds that came with Gaia. I did seek a few different ones out, but Yeah, I've seen it. We're a bit jerky at the moment. I also need to check the activation. Yeah, this around this horse actually is a bit. It's a bit dodgy around this horse in general. Some of it's the controller itself, and then some of it is obviously the game itself. Now, I started here because I wanted to see the colour of this water. Yeah, it's got a red tinge to it because I added more red to the post-processing colour to get this lighter grass, but it affected the water quite drastically in some places when the light, especially in one area, I think up there in the mountain, on a mountain river, it's really more like purple water. Right, so the horse is not very good. That needs some work. Yeah, there will be the odd texture that can't find a shader and things like that aren't HD compatible. We'll go on big red. Yeah, the wind also was a bit drastic down on the ground. This is actually more jerky than what I thought it was going to be. That's possibly because of the activation. In fact, I just want to test something actually, but there's animals down there, you can see them in pink. I do want to test turning off the animals to see if that makes a difference, because I'm wondering if finding the textures has become a bit of a grind. There's 99 problems there, keep being spewed out. So I'll turn the AI off altogether. Well, that's quite a bit better actually straight away, but it's still a bit. This one, that juddering, that's the camera itself that's not set right. But I'll look into that later. That's not. Yeah, it's too windy here too soon. But if I fly up, yeah, it gets a bit more drastic, the wind. I need to set the cameras up for these dragons, all of them basically. Sometimes it actually works out okay, so the dragon is way forward and you can see the end of its tail, which stops it's not such a drastic bump up and down like that. Camera shake. And I'll carry on where I was going. Yeah, that camera shake is basically because the dragon is too close to the camera. When the dragon is all the way a bit further forward and you can see the end of its tail. I'll change to a few dragons during this test to see if it does it, so you can see what I mean. But basically, that camera shake isn't so severe. We'll go down to the sea. Should be here in the ocean by now. There's probably gaps in the placement. But anyway, it's not right because there was waves here before, and that's possibly going to change anyway. Oh, there, yeah, we have an ocean. It just needs setting. These things just need adjusting and setting up. And also, I may have to higher the ocean level. I would actually like it to there to be less sand on there's quite a lot of sand. The sand goes quite a way inland. Which makes it a bit, it's not realistic where where some of the outposts and villages are. They're on basically on sand. There was an area that I mentioned earlier that I wanted to create like a desert dunes kind of a thing, and I'll still do that. Yeah, so the music's playing when we come out into the islands. Still need to sort out the underneath the ocean. It's too dark. That's another thing. Actually, lifting the ocean a bit will help well for the underwater, because one of the main problems that I kind of dumped this project a while ago, because basically you go underwater and you're at the ground more or less straight away. Oh right, yeah, that's into the ground. So if I take off, there's hardly any water to fly in. I mean, because there's going to be fish. Well, there was fish, but the fish were causing too much of a lag. So, I mean, it's generally laggy all the way around, which clears up during the build, because I think the editor takes up a lot of weight, a lot of performance. I think this was a problem. Villages, like an ocean, it's like a port type of a thing. I think it might have been this one or another one that caused a few problems, the lagginess, because I couldn't turn the textures into one atlas, which made it quite expensive, because there was individual textures for almost everything. Oh no, it's not that one, it must be another one. I mean, there needs to be grass here where I am now. I need to work on the sounds, but like I say, this is about the textures and grass loading and that. And if you can see the grass, you can hardly see the grass now. And I know it's not going to be no Grand Theft Auto, but I was reminded of Grand Theft Auto when you're in a plane or anything, or a chopper flying around, you can see the grass loading in the distance. It's probably about at that building, where that building starts. But it's not really thick grass. It's quite sparse, kind of like that below me now. Probably a little bit more than that. Yeah, that town's missing. There's a big town here. This is going to be one of the big main areas. Unless I make this a ruined castle. I bet there's trees all over in the middle of this. Yeah, there's trees everywhere. So it's rather juddering. That's the camera, remember? Just doing that juddering. It's probably made a little bit worse by some of the assets that are there, but that didn't seem too bad. Is there anywhere else where I remember having... Some of these fishing villages seem to cause a problem in one of the other dragon books. It does seem to be the case in this game, probably because I did the textures atlas thing. So you can see a tinge of purple to the water. That's the red that I added in the post-processing. It's kind of too much. Too much for these lakes, and it's definitely too much for the river, the main river. Well, the mountain. Yeah, I wish I could find what that wobble is. I had a look the other day, but I couldn't find it. They say it's something called noise, but the noise is off altogether. And I'm thinking it's basically the dragon has a camera attached to it, and sometimes when you get on a dragon, because it's got a camera to it, it uses that camera rather than the main camera, the main character camera. Yeah, I think this is the place that I was going to do like dunes. I just want to have a look at the main river to see if it is actually purple. It looked it in the scene view, but I think it probably is. See, the trees I set them to 500, but that's way more than 500. I prefer them to fade a bit, to be half that distance and to fade in. Alright, that's where we're getting a bit jerky. There's a village just loaded. Actually, I'm going to go back to see if that does that. Actually, it's still loaded. It should be unloaded now, that village. It isn't. So I need to look at the active. That's probably why it's not performing very well. That castle over there to the left, and this village. Well, I think that's more like a jail, that thing over there. If everything's loaded and the activation range isn't working, then that's going to be a problem within itself. So as far as optimizing this is concerned, I want to try and remove the trees in the distance. I want to make the grass even less. So you can see the line of the grass in it. I'll just load the bit in front when I get closer. Possibly when I cross a terrain landmark. Should be about now. Yeah, that's it. See, that should have faded in, and that doesn't work. That's not working. I mean, obviously I should probably put more trees around these villages and things, and as I've come to work on each one. I'm not going to do it now, but you can go inside some of these inside some of these houses. But again, the camera isn't set up brilliantly, so the collider just goes through walls and things like that. Yeah, that's like a blood red river, that. I'm just going to pause it for a second while I fly to the next location where the mountain river is. I should probably fly around a bit because I don't exactly know where it is. And I've decided earlier, well actually at the beginning of this, I thought, well, I could actually where I had a dragon tooth marked on here, I could probably use this to set the names of the villages and landmarks, etc., and see if that doesn't. They will appear on here as well, on this dial, and they will appear across here when I'm heading with a distance marker. I'll probably do that. Alright, yeah, there's the river that I want to see, so I'll not pause it, I'll just leave it. Only thing is, I've been doing this now for 26 minutes, and this will be a large file. Sometimes, and it depends what you're doing actually in the scene. If I'm flying about, it's usually quite expensive. I ended up with a 50 gigabyte file. I use Camtasia, by the way, to create files. I mean, I'm really concerned, to be honest with you, about the grass. There's always been a grass issue. I'd like there to be. Well, I'll show you in the next video. I'll show you an example of the grass that I would like, and see if I can make it work. See, I mean, that grass just loaded up. It's terrible grass. See, this river's purple. It's got a purple tinge to it. Where down, I noticed it more so up on the what's going to be a waterfall kind of area. Yeah, there. So I believe that's the red in that I had to post-processing that's caused that. I did that trying to calm this green down. So again, if you've got any idea what some of these issues are, how we can solve them, I'd appreciate that. I mean, I will be doing a bit of research, but like I've always said, I'm not going into this really heavy duty. I'm just going to have a quick look. If I can't find answers, then I'll find solutions other ways.